Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is a paid request for Movie Guide 2005, who sent in quite a few requests. Thank you for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, movie reviews, re-reviews, random thoughts, streams, commentaries, video game playthrough for an hour, full playthrough, tier list ranking, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. Do have a CashApp as well. Links are down below in the info box. Now this is for Rabbit Test. Now, the poster tells you how good this movie is. I mean, it's a movie about a guy that gets pregnant. Has there ever been a movie about a guy getting pregnant that's been good? Junior wasn't good. With Arnold Schwarzenegger, this was a lot worse. Junior was twins or kindergarten cop compared to this movie. It's directed by Joan Rivers, the same Joan Rivers that she played the robot Dottie, I think it was her name, in Spaceballs. At least voice of the character, I should say. She appeared and stuff throughout the years, sometimes hosted The Tonight Show. If you look up Joan Rivers, you've definitely seen or heard her voice from time to time, at least back in the day. So I think this is the only thing she directed. She co-wrote the film. She put herself as a cameo. Because the poster makes it seem as if she stars in the film. I know the t-shirt on the poster says director, but the way she presents herself on the poster makes it seem as if she's a co-star in the movie, like one of the lead actors. She's not. She's just the director, and she has a cameo for like 10 seconds. And again, one of the two writers. And this film, I think, made some money, because it cost less than $1 million, and it made at least $4 million. Some say up to $12 million. So it did make money. But it was completely ridiculed, as it should. It gets like a 3 point something, 3.1 on IMDb. Because this is just not a funny comedy. It's like a bad version of a Mel Brooks movie. It tries to throw all these gags, and not many of them work. It's like a series of failed, I don't want to say sketches, but like failed attempts of humor slapped together for 80, 90 minutes. Actually, I think this was longer. It felt longer. So, but Billy Crystal is the first film he starred in. First film he was... might have been the first film he was in, period. And probably the worst film he's ever been in. Because I'm trying to think of another Billy Crystal film I think is worse. Because I like Billy Crystal. I like him in... City Slickers is my favorite with him. But I mean, I like him in The Princess Bride. I like him in Throw Mama from the Train. Love City Slickers. Hell, I even don't mind My Giant for what it is. Which even have a cameo with Steven Seagal in that one. My Giant, I didn't mind. Father's Day, I liked. It's flawed. It's not as good as it should have been, but I liked Father's Day. I don't remember, was it Forget Paris? When Harry Met Sally's there. I don't love that film, but it's there. Much better than this film. America's Sweethearts, I thought it was a cute movie, and Billy Crystal's in that. City Slickers 2 I'm not a fan of, and I'd rather watch that than this fucking movie. So yeah, it may very well be the worst film, unless there's one even worse I can't think of. At least the worst film he starred in. And I guess it's best to get that out of the way at the beginning. It's like, well, it can't get worse than this. I don't think this has a... I don't think it has a Blu-ray release. I don't even know if this has a DVD release. I first heard about this film from my friend Mike, OCP Communications. I don't think he ever reviewed it, but I think at one point he watched it, and I guess maybe it's one of those films he found on VHS and go, what the hell is this movie? I mean, the very first joke is Billy Crystal talking to what you think is a woman. He puts an arm around her and his cigarette or whatever burns it, and it's a inflatable sex toy that goes all around, and then he goes, well, a simple no would have been sufficient. And maybe that could work in a different movie, but here, when that's probably one of his better jokes, and it goes downhill from there. Billy Crystal is a teacher teaching people for citizenship. While he's doing that, he's never been with a woman. He gets phone calls from his mom, who's always sad that he left the nest. And as soon as he stops, he opens the door and his mom's there. So the idea that his mom is right next door, or whatever the hell the case. His cousin's back from Vietnam. It's Alex Rocco. May he rest in peace. He was in a lot of stuff. I remember him as a voice on The Simpsons. He was the studio head of the Itchy and Scratchy cartoons. And I remember hearing he was always appreciative of being on The Simpsons because he didn't get to usually do stuff like that. So he's back from Vietnam. Eventually, he helps Billy Crystal find a woman to get laid. He does. 6 weeks later, he's having these pains. He pukes. He meets this woman who's one of his students in the citizenship class. She says she's Russian. I don't know if I buy it. And eventually finds out that he's pregnant. And then the story pretty much drifts around the president of at first he wants to get rid of it, but then he doesn't want to get rid of it, and then the president of the United States somehow finds out, and then he's does this tour around the world where people nowadays would have a field day with this film. And there's a batch in this, there's a section in this movie that people would call racism every 30 seconds on what the fuck is on screen. I could just imagine people going, what the hell? To me, it's just shitty jokes, but it's almost like North, that film North with fucking from 1994. Kind of that stuff where here's China, and you can almost hear that. Here's Africa, and there's Jimmy Walker with a midget who is Billy Barty, the guy who played Gwildor in that Dolph Lundgren Masters of the Universe movie. Because they couldn't afford to do Orko, so they have the other little guy, Gwildor, with that T. It's like, sometimes sounds like, with the guitar, That little guy is in this movie, held by Jimmy Walker, doing a ventriloquist act, and Billy Barty is in fucking blackface. He's in fucking blackface. A minstrel show. Jimmy Walker is pretending to be African with a Billy Barty in his lap, and Billy Barty's in blackface. That's this fucking movie. I'm probably selling it for people now. But the jokes throughout it, early on they go to church and someone sees someone who happens to be overweight and they go, I guess we'll need a forklift to bring her to heaven. Al's Rocco is always talking about women and come on buddy, have you gotten laid, and always talking about the people in Vietnam and negative slight. The guy at church, he's supposed to baptize the babies, and so he gets 3 babies, which are, you tell are dolls, and dumps them, all 3 of them like this. Like imagine there's 3 of these, and he just dumps them like this, these 3 babies, because that's the joke. While the other person is trying to do a sermon, but instead he's just talking pig Latin. Ode, Ude, Ujde, Idske. Probably did that wrong too, I don't give a fuck. Oh, Michael Keaton is technically in this film. Technically, it's perhaps the first film he's ever been in. But you won't know him because early on, Alice Rocco brings Billy Crystal to this area where there's like a party or something going on, barely a party, and there's a guy sitting kind of here. Well, my hand's where the poster's at. But imagine, okay, imagine my face is the whole screen, and the person's sitting here, and he looks at Billy Crystal. He's wearing a sailor uniform, and he kind of does this to hide what he's writing. That's Michael Keaton. You'll barely see his face. He has no lines, no dialogue, but Michael Keaton as Sailor, that's his scene in the movie. It probably 7 seconds long, if that. Well, so that shows how fucking stupid this movie was. You have Michael Keaton, you see the way he looks. You would think you would actually have him say a few lines just to see how he can do. I know it's a silent, but just to see, well, can this guy do anything? Can I use him any more than I need to? Can I utilize this guy better? Obviously not, or Joan Rivers was too stupid to see anything in him. This lady who keeps talking about how all men are bad and take advantage of women, but the joke is that she's taking advantage of him, and she keeps talking about how you're going to do this to me and you're going to do that to me and blah blah blah. Even though she's the one controlling the situation, they have sex, and I guess sex equals bowling pins going up like this to disappear. I guess that's how they signify sex. And then 6 weeks later, he's teaching class. And the class stuff, you know what did that better? Stripes. When Harold Ramis is teaching the class, and he's doing the song, and they just ba da 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 da. Son of beach sheet. Son of beach sheet. I got more laughs out of that one scene than anything in this fucking movie. Here's just the idea, it's just they can't understand English no matter what Billy Crystal does or says. And that's it, and he pukes because he's getting sick. He again meets this girl who's a student. They get together, they start talking with each other. Eventually, she gets Billy Crystal to meet her family that are like gypsies. And the joke is that the grandma, or like, there's a gypsy played by Roddy McDowall in drag who could barely say any words. There's a joke is, oh, it's Roddy McDowall in drag. Like he's ready to deal with the Wolfman. And get, Lon Chaney Jr. at bay. And I love Roddy McDowall. Peter Vincent, the fearless vampire killer from the original Fright Night and Fright Night Part 2 and The Legend of Hell House, and he was in class of 1984. Great actor. Given nothing to do. He just dressed up as a woman and kind of snarling and, not being able to say anything. And that's it. What a waste of a talent. They all freak Billy Crystal out because they sense something in Billy Crystal, and the younger girl says, you gotta leave. And then I guess somehow Billy Crystal gets the idea that, I guess somehow, some way he comes to the conclusion of himself that he's pregnant. Because he goes in pretending to be Hispanic, saying, I need to see a doctor about a pregnancy, and pretend he has a wife, but he doesn't, and goes in, and that his doctor, the gynecologist, however you want to put it, is Paul Lynde. For those that don't know, Paul Lynde was the character Uncle Arthur on the TV show Bewitched. His cadence, the way he would talk, other shows and stuff would kind of copy, repeat that kind of voice. I guess the idea is that Joan Rivers called some favors from people and was able to get them cheap, like Paul Lynde or Jimmy Walker, or some others, or Roddy McDowell. At one point, does the test, leaves, comes back, and then Paul Lynde has a fucking toy rabbit in there. I guess something to do with the title, the rabbit test, which something about dealing with pregnancy. I didn't fucking get it. All I saw was that Billy Crystal came in, and there's a fucking toy rabbit, and Billy Crystal's acting as if it was a live thing, and tries to give it mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. And then Paul Lynde's like, well, if you cut the head off, you'd have a nice little sweater for a toddler. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? Where the fuck did the rabbit even come from? I don't even remember. Where the fuck did the rabbit come from? Is it just there because of the title and the whole idea of the rabbit test, and which is a term no one really uses nowadays dealing with pregnancy. It just felt like the rabbit came out of fucking nowhere, other than the title. So he freaks out, and then the lady and her family, gypsies, now think of him as like the guy who's going to give birth to the next Messiah. And he's thinking of getting rid of the baby and abortion. He gets in a cab, and I recognize the driver. He's in one scene. The driver is Rosie Greer. And the reason I recognize him is that there's a movie called The Thing with Two Heads. The reason I remember The Thing with Two Heads, what was the tagline? The plot is, what if a racist guy and then a black guy, and they have to be melded onto the same body? And there's the tagline. What the fuck was the tagline? They transplanted a white biggest head into a soul brother's body. Ray Milland and Rosie Greer, The Thing with Two Heads. So the idea is that this old guy who's rich, he's dying, and they don't know what to do with him. So here's another guy, and just put the head onto that body. At least I guess until they get a new body or whatever the case. So yeah, look up The Thing with Two Heads, look up the trailer, and you'll... yeah. And then the doctors he's with, one of them doesn't believe in him and thinks he's full of shit, then later is proven wrong. And then one of the doctors he sounds like one of the head Nazi from Hogan's Heroes. I know nothing. That's what he fucking sounds like. And then it just... I'm still with... You don't get to know the characters. There's never any heart to the film. It's just one lousy dad to the next until the end credits. There's never any time for a heart for this film, a soul for this film, to really get to know the characters of the film. They just become one-dimensional. I mean, Billy Crystal's talented, and they made him uninteresting to watch. And like I said, then it's just kind of a bunch of bullshit happening, and then he doesn't want to abort the baby, and then again, at one point the President of the United States finds out, and he becomes public news, and he's going to a country tour. Now, it's never explained how he got pregnant. It's never explained. At least Junior tried to explain it. And Junior, Junior's not a good movie. I never liked that film. But at least it does have somewhat of a story. Like, it has what the characters are going through and what Arnold, his character being passionate about this, and he's one type of character at the beginning, and you see him change to another type of character at the end, not just physically, but how he kind of loosens up more and becomes more a parental figure. And then, was it Emma Thompson? She's one of the things I actually don't mind in that film. But at least it does have a flow as if it's going somewhere. Here, it's like it doesn't know where the fuck it wants to go. They just think the idea of a guy being pregnant is funny enough. It's okay, he's here, then he's at the hospital, then for some reason they have a fucking world tour, just to have all these foreign gags. Let's to the moonwalk. Oh, next to you, the moonwalk was doo-doo. That's a line in the movie. They see the Queen of England and it's played by a guy, and stuff falls out, and it looks like there was a bunch of fucking sex toys or something in her purse. They go to the Great Wall of China, where they get mad that a watch isn't working, and I swear I keep hearing that. Maybe it's not that, but it seems like it. None of them speak English, because apparently in 1978 nobody in Great Wall of China could speak English. And they're just getting mad. And I swear to God, I gotta see this, because this is going to bug me. The guy who plays that, I have to look, is that the guy I'm thinking of? And I don't want to say anything until I see... Yes. Sab Shimono. Sab Shimono was in Gun Ho with Michael Keaton, because he's one of the guys working for Daddy Watanabe. And he was in Ninja Turtles 3 as the Lord Noranaga. He's one of the two main bad guys. There's the Stuart Wilson Walker with the guns, and then there's the Lord Noranaga. And I'm like, is that who the fuck I think? And it is. It certainly is. I'm like, oh shit. No wonder I recognized him. They go to the Pope, and the big joke is he wears Adidas. Should have been Nikes. I don't know. And then goes to Africa, and that's where you did Jimmy Walker with Billy Barty, a small guy, and he's got a fucking blackface on. Doing a minstrel show. Then someone gets the idea of, wait a minute, this guy's pregnant. What if other guys become pregnant? So we need to either stop him, get a hold of him, tell him to get rid of the baby. And I'm sitting there going, well, number one, you don't even know how this baby came to be. You don't know how this guy became pregnant. And if it's some kind of random mutation, that means, well, you don't stop everybody in the world from having sex. I mean, any minute now, any way now, any time now, a guy could just have sex with a lady and somehow they'll get pregnant. It's not like you know the certain way, the certain key for a guy to be pregnant. The movie never fucking tells us, so I don't know why they want Billy Crystal to get rid of his kid. What difference is that going to make? The news is already out there that this guy became pregnant. Okay, if he lost the baby, then some people go, well, you know, we'll be the first successful one. And hell, there'll be people wanting to get rich for that. In fact, that should have been one of the jokes, is that there'd be a fucking lottery, like a lottery race. Oh, if we get the first baby, we're going to be famous. The first male, you know, the first child from a male. And we'll get commercials. We'll get advertisements. Then they have, like, funny commercials, like, making fun of advertising, making fun of the idea of getting popular no matter what. Like, those are maybe jokes you could fucking do instead of Jimmy Walker holding a blood-faced Billy Barty. Or when the lady calls the president to tell this idea, I guess it's Halloween night. They say Halloween night, and the president is wearing a pig, like pieces of a pig mask. And the other people in the cabinet are acting like kids. Oh, come on, why do we have to? Why can't we go out trick or treating? I'm spending more time cleaning my fucking glasses talking about this movie. They're afraid the population will explode. Well, I mean, telling Billy Crystal to not give birth is not going to stop the population from exploding. It's not. I mean, you just gave a world tour that this guy is pregnant. I mean, people are not going to forget that just because you tell them to lose the baby. Like I said, then they're going to try to be the first. So Billy Crystal and the girl have a bit of a fight, then they make up, and then Billy Crystal tries to give this speech about how we're all different, and then he escapes, and people are... I guess, some people think he's a freak. Then he ends up somewhere as if it's going to be the three wise men ready to be there. And you don't see the birth. You see him on the ground sweating like they're in this like bus or something. And the other people are there. He's ready to give birth. Then it pans away to the sky. And we hear from a voice that he gave birth, the voice being God, with a twinkling of a star saying, "Oh my God, it's a girl." And I'm like, so I guess the idea is that God caused this, which then I'd be like, why is he surprised it's a girl? He's God. Would he already fucking know it was a girl? He's God. Is that the one? So I guess the one thing this God doesn't know is what your gender of baby will be until it's born. Even that ending, like they don't like Alex Rocco, his character kind of disappear. Well, not disappear, but he should be there at the end, and feels like there's no satisfaction or payoff for any of the characters. You never get to know what happens to Billy Crystal's character afterward. Is he seen as an idol? Is he seen as a empowering character? Is he seen as a pariah? Is he seen as something else? Will there be now a whole... I mean, you get jokes out of different magazines and what kind of taglines they would say. Maybe him getting to commercials, or I don't know. It's just not funny. The fucking film is not funny. It was hard to sit through. But yeah, I think it was my friend OCP, Mike, who told me about this long ago. I could be wrong, but I swear it was him. Because I wouldn't know who else it would be. But yeah, but I don't think he ever reviewed it. And watching it, I can see why, because it's fucking shit. But yeah, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. This was a fucking eyesore. I hated this fucking thing, man. But Billy Crystal did get better. He did get a lot better roles, man. Thank God for that. Because he's a talented guy. I always liked Billy Crystal. But this was just painfully unfunny. Joan Rivers, she's one of the nurses. And like they tried to do like different types of humor, or sometimes shock humor. What was it? Paul Lynde at one point early on says, "Oh nurse, I got semen on my stethoscope," or whatever, the telescope or microscope. It's supposed to be like samples, just gynecology doctor facility. just lame, unfunny jokes all the way through, man. That's just me. Well, no, it's not just me, because it gets a 3.1 for fucking reason. So with that said, thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Even Junior was better than this. Later.